Hey YouTube, I have to get serious about this debt ceiling thing. We're like in these historic times here, and I did probably my weirdest Joker video. It was very indulgent. YouTube, there's a lot of different levels of information going on with people, so I don't know how well that video communicated. It just expressed my exasperation, and when I get exasperated and the public narrative gets too inside my head, I have to purge myself with laughter. And I don't know, as it always communicates. There's so much mendacity, there's so much falsehood on both sides, there's so many lies, there's so much political posturing, there's so much jockeying for position in the coming election year over whether or not the United States can remain solvent. And, Wall Street's yawning this all off because even if we do fall into some kind of insolvency, they'll perceive it as a technical glitch, something short-lived that just applies pressure to all parties involved to come to a resolution. Okay, so the only thing I've seen from Wall Street so far has been positive, if you can believe it. With the debt ceiling crisis thing, Obama came out for the Gang of Six plan in the Senate. It's just 6 senators. Now it's up to 33, I think. I don't know. And that's a moderate plan, a compromise bill. It's mostly a sweetener for big business, but Wall Street rallied around it up to the tune of jumping 200 points in one day, and that was positive. No one from the financial world or the market world believes that this is going to go to any real extreme. Okay, so everyone should relax about, are we facing economic Armageddon? From the very beginning, I thought it was all hype, and then as the rhetoric started heating up, I became concerned that in Washington, people can get caught up in their own narrative, like you can in your own real life. You get caught up in your narrative, and you paint yourselves into corners. And it looked like maybe this could be a bunch of people talking themselves into a real economic meltdown where there's no way to come to any agreement. Okay, so I began to pay closer attention to it. And then Moody's Corporation, one of the credit rating agencies, a big one, got in on the act and said, even if we do not fall into default, they're going to downgrade us if we don't come up with a long-term deficit reduction plan in an election year. An election year coming up, it's impossible. There won't be any agreement. I can promise there won't be any real agreement. And that's when it became really kind of dire. And because even if there's no default, Moody's isn't going to just say, oh, gee, no default, that's fine. Take your time about that deficit reduction thing. We were just kidding. Fat chance of that! Okay, I say there's not going to be any agreement. There won't be any real agreement. There'll be a token agreement wrangled out in Congress that the president will sign, and everyone's going to cross their fingers, hope, and pray that Moody's and Standard & Poor's and all these other credit rating agencies are going to go for it. Okay? I can almost promise you Moody's won't. Maybe Standard & Poor's, I don't know. But Moody's has got a hard line there. I don't like Moody's Corporation. They're a terrible bunch. Europe will tell you how bad they are. They're corrupt. They break the law. I don't trust them with rating anybody's credit, much less the most powerful nation in the history of the world. But they're in a position to do that. And if they don't like the deficit reduction plan, they can give it the thumbs down. And that's when we enter a short-term downgrade, and we go from the rule of banks to the rule of Moody's. And that's crunch time. That's really sweating bullets time. And that's when Wall Street will actually come out of its denial and start dumping assets and squirreling away cash and running around. What do we do? It's a herd instinct on Wall Street, and it's not there's not much intelligence to it. I know we all think of business people as being super geniuses. It's a real myopic way of looking at things, and people learn to just follow the herd, just follow the crowd, what's everybody else doing, and then they all just bolt for the door at the same time. And fortunately, we have safeguards for an orderly decline if in the event that that happens. And now when that happens, the big money will be screaming at all sides to get it together and get something on paper that Moody's can live with. Okay? And it's going to have to be about that dire before there's a substantial deficit reduction plan. And it's a bitter pill for everybody. Okay, now that's the reality of it. Okay, there's 87 congressional people, mostly rookie, newbie, junior representatives in the House of Representatives who think even default is okay. It's all right. Go past the August 2nd. Let's call Obama's bluff. To a certain extent, Obama is bluffing. The Treasury really can pay its bills up to the 30th of September. Okay, into October's when, that's doomsday. But they wanted to get rid of this problem by now, by August 2nd, so that it'd be out of the way, because we didn't have to come to the actual brink. We make an artificial brink. That makes the Democrats kind of the boy who cried wolf, but there's still a real wolf, and that wolf is Moody's and to a certain extent Standard & Poor's and the other credit rating agencies. They are coming for us. So, and that's playing with fire. That's when the economy just blows up.
My kind of party, baby.
Okay, I say the economy blows up. It will only blow if there's no deal, if they keep dragging their feet, and that comes of the fact of something that no one's really acknowledging. The Republican Party is dead. The Tea Party, the tea-baggers, have filled a power vacuum in the Republican Party because it expired under Bush. There is really no Republican Party in the country club sense of what had existed before Bush. That's collapsed. Boehner is being bossed around by junior representatives who'll just do whatever they're going to do. Okay? There is no Republican leadership. And because of that, the last few nails in the coffin in the Republican Party are being hammered in as I speak. This whole debacle is going to bury them, once and for all. It will be evident. Wall Street is not realizing that its party is dead. It's just not accepting it. It's just too weird. Okay? And they're going off past models. So to a certain extent, the Democrats are always guilty of not knowing what decade they're in, and the Republicans are guilty of not knowing what century they're in. Okay, so if it's a choice between the two, I'll go with the ones who don't know what decade they're in, okay, over and above the ones who don't know which century they're in, all right? So it won't blow until, like, if you go 6 months into a downgrade or something. I mean, that's when it just, comes to pieces. And you'll see that the Republican Party can't do right by this crisis. The problem is it must divide and go with the Democrats and form a coalition on behalf of coming up with a plan that Moody's and Standard & Poor's and everybody else is going to accept. Because the tea-baggers are not into compromising. The individual tea-baggers fear that someone from even farther to the right of them politically will challenge them in a primary if they go along. So you can't bring them on board under any circumstances. That means the country club has to go with moderate Democrats with a plan that everyone's going to hate, but all sides are going to hate. But it's going to be the Republicans who pay a bitter price. Okay. Now, if they want to say their balanced budget amendment plan, which is my way or the highway, we'll do it our way, no compromise. The public isn't about this. Polls have shown that it's trending toward Obama simply because he's positioned himself as the great compromiser, and I'm putting it all on the table. A lot of that wasn't very real. A lot of it was just posing. A lot of it was his knowing in advance that the Tea Party, the Tea-baggers, are not going to accept the plan under any circumstances, that agreeing with the president under any circumstances looks bad to the folks back home who don't like the black man in the White House who gave them a health care plan that they think is socialized medicine. Okay? All of this conspires to make them obstructionists at a time when you've got to come to an understanding. You have to negotiate, and there is no negotiation. So there'll be a token plan. There may be just a parliamentarian thing that Mitch McConnell has in mind, where actually you just raise the debt ceiling without a deficit reduction plan at all, and we'll kick that can down the road. Moody's ain't going to let you do that. Okay, not at this point. So I'm sorry. A lot of liberals are saying this is an artificial crisis. Arianna Huffington says it's an artificial crisis. It may have started out that way, but it's for really very real right now. But the casualty of the whole thing will be the Republican Party, and it's not as if it's destroying itself. It is already destroyed. There is no cohesion there. They had to bring in the fringe and take advantage of the fact that Obama forgot his base, political base, during the first 2 years. Strategically, you've got to go with your base the first 2 years and then reach out to the center during the second 2 years and bring it together in the next election and get reelected. And he thought being the first black president gave him carte blanche with the base, and then he could just give them some speeches and reach out toward the center the whole time. And so the midterms were even a bigger disaster than they needed to be. Midterms are usually bad for the incumbent party anyways, but they were worse than they needed to be. That was a mistake, and Republicans took advantage of it. But still, who they brought on board with that were a bunch of screaming yahoos. And that's because they're as damaged a party as they are, owing to the Bush years. And the idea that they can ever come together as adults over this problem is it's impossible. It isn't going to happen. So this is Obama's situation to lose. He's distracting people from unemployment, saying it's all about this. I'm the adult in the room, they're the children, and that's how it's going to play. Okay.
So before I get all this shit off my face, what's my cut?
Your cut of what?
Of the Moody's caper, guy.
There's no cut.
What are you talking about? There's no cut. They're the only ones who come out ahead in this one.
Well, it doesn't include you.
You serious? You're serious? I don't get a piece of the action? What? No!